Divine Mother, Heavenly Father, dearest friend, beloved God, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahirdi Mahashaya, Swami Sri Yukteswarji, beloved Guru, Paramahansa Yogananda, saints of all religions, we bow at your feet. Beloved Lord, bless us, flow through us, flow through our prayers, as we pray for those in need. Lord, give us thyself, that we may give thee to all. Om, peace. Amen. And then as a reminder for the chanting and things that are coming, think Om Christ bliss or Om Spirit bliss at the spiritual eye.
Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Wilt thou come, just for once come to me? Wilt thou come, just for once come to me? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Night and day, I look for thee night and day. Night and day, I look for thee night and day. Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Wilt thou come, just for once come to me? Wilt thou come, just for once come to me? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Night and day, I look for thee night and day. Night and day, I look for thee night and day. Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Wilt thou come, just for once come to me? Wilt thou come, just for once come to me? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Night and day, I look for thee night and day. Night and day, I look for thee night and day. Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Door of my heart, open thee. Wilt thou come, wilt thou come, just for once come to me? Wilt thou come, wilt thou come, just for once come to me? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Night and day, I look for thee night and day. Night and day, I look for thee night and day. Night and day, I look for thee night and day. Night and day, I look for thee night and day.
I just wanted to read to you something from the Healer's Handbook, kind of what's going on, and it's not something that I would have thought of, but it says, drawing on limitless cosmic energy, willingness and determination keep the blood vitalized with life energy. If you can maintain an attitude of joyful willingness at all times, you will find your body constantly supplied with a fresh cosmic energy drawn into the body through the door of the medulla oblongata. Your blood will be charged with life current, making it immune to the invasion of bacteria. To keep your body vibrating with life current, strengthen your willingness and determination in everything. So maybe just take a moment just to think about the things in your life where you can apply willingness and determination. I mean, one of the things just by being here is helping you recharge your blood. By being willing to help pray for others is building your immunity, maintaining an attitude of joyful willingness at all times. Maybe think about how we can carry that out and maybe put a little more focus on that in the next week or so. I don't know, Mary, if you have anything else to say on Om, but basically Om is the primordial sound, and really every cell you have vibrates at the level of Om, and it's really I kind of think of it as seeing my cells bursting out with Om and kind of one by one filling each body part with that cosmic sound.
Related to that in this context is how Master talked about creator, sustainer, and dissolver. And in this context, we're primarily trying to up almost that creator aspect of Om and the sustainer. But when you're trying to bring in fresh energy to meet something, it's that creator. But he says when they're in balance, that's healing. But in a situation like we're in right now, there's some of that dissolver is on our minds, or it's trying to happen, and maybe it is happening. So our burst is towards the creator aspect. We can recharge the body. And as we say Om, this is something, if you've heard Om and you also say Om, they become the same. But you can sometimes, as you're chanting Om in these longer things like we're saying, feel as though you're chanting the Om, but to some degree, and have your main focus on that chanting of the word Om. But if to a degree you can almost put yourself into that meditative space that you're hearing the Om and you're just bathing yourself in the Om. And we'll also work with this somewhat when we do the prayers. I mean, chanting the word Om carries all this, but sometimes it's good if we let our mind expand into actually a little bit remembering the experience of Om in meditation, or beginning to hear it, which may come, for some people, it might come more spontaneously, not on demand. So if it's, in which case you would either want to get there with your imagination or from your memory of having been in those spaces, whatever works.
God's power, vitality, good health and strength flow through me, flow through me, flow through me. God's power, vitality, good health and strength flow through me, flow through me, flow through me. God's power, vitality, good health and strength flow through me, flow through me, flow through me. God's power, vitality, good health and strength flow through me, flow through me, flow through me. God's power, vitality, good health and strength flow through me, flow through me, flow through me. God's power, vitality, good health and strength flow through me, flow through me, flow through me. God's power, vitality, good health and strength flow through me, flow through me, flow through me. God's power, vitality, good health and strength flow through me, flow through me, flow through me. God's power, vitality, good health and strength flow through me, flow through me, flow through me. God's power, vitality, good health and strength flow through me, flow through me, flow through me. God's power, vitality, good health and strength flow through me, flow through me, flow through me. God's power, vitality, good health and strength flow through me, flow through me, flow through me.
As we begin, we'll start with New York and do the whole country, but right now we'll also have time for individual prayer requests. But as we think about this, just hold in your heart anyone who's local to you or relatives or friends around the country, around the world. Send rays of light to them now, so that just thinking of them absorbing this blessing, personally, you might say, as we send it out in general, just hold them in your heart so they also receive from our prayer efforts. So this might be any family, friends, parents, siblings, etc. Guru Brais. And so I'm going to, again, let's rub the hands together. Think of our gurus, like one of the masters standing behind you to strengthen your prayer. Because when we pray for the whole world, it actually draws a big prayer through us. So you want to be big within it. Just feel that you are praying as a disciple, as a student of our Guru. So you want his infinite consciousness to flow through you. So ask your Guru to flow through you, God, Christ, Guru. And you may be feeling that increase right now. And then let's start by just holding the earth as a whole, surrounded in light. The masters and the angels and the saints all know what we've been going through as a planet. And just send that blessing now. Feel it moving through you. And you're sending that, like Master had said to that one disciple, God's blessings are there. My blessings are there. Your blessings are needed in the same way. It's a little different context, but our blessings are needed within that context. We're sending light to the whole world and to any aching hearts at this time. But also send blessings and gratitude for what we have learned, especially seeing this beautiful earth in front of us on the screen. Think of how clean the air has gotten in just this month or 5 weeks around the planet. Let's hold that, sort of like Swami had that song, blessing the earth. And he had the trees and the birds and everything in that prayer, but as though the devas themselves, he wrote that song so that the devas that care for the earth would be invited back. So just think that we're loving the earth. We're nurturing it, that magic that we feel maybe on a hike or even just in a walk through the park, and you see a butterfly, you see a bird, and that love that God animated in nature. Bless that now. As a world, we have learned something incredible. We have witnessed it. In that sense, we have learned it. We have witnessed, like, the air cleaned up. And just feel that, and where do we go with it? But feel that even no matter where it goes, we have witnessed it. Has it changed us? Let us love it as our prayer group. Let us love the miracle that the air is clean over New York. It's cleaner. We've seen it on the maps. It's probably much cleaner. Let us rejoice in that. Let us rejoice that the air is clean over Los Angeles. Rejoice in that miracle. And let us rejoice that the air is clean over Delhi. That is a miracle. Maybe it needs to get a little more crystal clear, but it is clear. And the air is clear in the Himalayas, where people are seeing mountaintops the way that only their grandfathers maybe had told them. Oh, you used to see the mountain peaks, so beautiful, and now it's a very rare day when the fog clears enough. Feel the miracle of it all. The miracle of clean air over China and all cities around the world. And feel people's lungs breathing in this air. This ailment has been a disease of the circulation and the oxygen having to get to the body. And also just to be able to breathe. When people say, oh, it was like a weight on my chest, when I was ill. Feel that the miracle of air has been renewed around the earth. And what do we do with it? Hold that miracle. Love it. Worship it. Worship the miracle of God's grace around the planet right now. A miracle people didn't know would ever come, of clean air around the planet once again. Love it. Worship it. as a miracle coming from God's grace. Thank God for that. And in that gratitude, may we be guided. May the universal consciousness cherish this. But we must cherish it first as an outright miracle. Thank you, thank you, thank you, God. Let it be rooted, as I say, thoughts are universally, not individually rooted. So as we feel that universal miracle, may it become part of the collective miracle of the planet. We can hope and we ask through God's grace if there's how to continue this miracle. And it is through gratitude. Bless the miracle. Is the answer already at hand? Perhaps to a small degree it is. Perhaps society goes back in some ways, but we keep moving forward. But love the fresh air. And by extension, if the clean waters, wherever the water has been reported to be cleaner, rejoice, such as Venice, Italy, and there may be other spots. It sometimes takes a little longer for some of the great rivers of the world to clean up once factories have stopped. But let us cherish, not only with national will, but with international will, to love and cherish the gift, the miracle of clean water. Feel the sparkling essence of water being renewed, rejuvenated. Feel the devas, the angels, the spirits, whoever watch over this, rejoicing. Invite them back. Swami said, sometimes these energies, they kind of want to go to a different planet. If you don't love me, sort of like a jilted lover. You don't love me, I'm going somewhere else. You want to invite it back, love it, worship it. And the green trees, the forests breathing the clean air, and the animals even wandering into the cities. Just feel how Mother Nature is rejuvenating. Bless her, love her. In that blessing every day, we ask for the miracle. As we reopen, how do we hold on? Do we drive a little less? I don't know. Do we try just care for the earth a little more? Make a choice here and there. Whatever it is, but feel that national and international celebration, a resolve. Not to go green because of fear, global warming, but go green. Feel that international rejoicing to go green, a cherishing to go green. Enough of fear. We've had it up to our eyeballs with fear. Rejoice. Feel that love, just love, loving. That feels good. Loving the earth, loving the Mother Nature of the earth. Thank you, Mother Nature. You're cherishing it, blessing it, rejoicing in it. And of course, within that, wanting to bless and do whatever is right as stewards. And within that, for this challenge that has brought this miracle of clean air, we then send blessings to all those who are struggling with the challenge itself of this virus, or the emergency rooms throughout the nation and throughout the world. And any of those who have lost, our love and support goes out to them, especially if they feel it's too harsh a price to pay. We hold them in light because sometimes it's not, if it was that soul's time to go, it's a hard thing to understand, but we hold them in light and mercy, Divine Mother's love, embrace, and to lift up the soul, but then to comfort those left behind. And all throughout the nation, any of those who are struggling with the financial repercussions, when you tune in, I can feel the contractive energy there. Let's just hold that concern, that teacher, that lesson up, because it's that fear that makes it to where it's hard to know how to hold on to the blessing of clean air. I just got to do what I got to do. Just let's send Om into it for now. into that fear, that concern, with Divine Mother and Master's affirmative nature that we talked about in those affirmations. Thou art my Father, success and joy. I am thy child, success and joy. Feel this current going all throughout the nation where everyone is concerned. Feel the voice of Master ringing through the ether for all receptive hearts. Thou art my Father, success and joy. I am thy child, success and joy. All the wealth of the earth, all the riches of the universe belong to thee, belong to thee. I am thy child, and wealth of earth and universe belongs to me, belongs to me. I lived in thoughts of poverty and wrongly fancied I was poor. So I was poor, and now I am home. Thy consciousness has made me wealthy, made me rich. I am successful, I am rich. I have everything, I have everything. I possess all and everything, even as thou dost, even as thou dost. Thou art my wealth. I have everything. And feel this current that we're bringing throughout the land of super consciousness to stay healthy and super consciousness to invigorate their consciousness of drawing to them what they need. Master said the essence of prosperity is to bring to me what I need at the moment I need it. So success and joy, success and joy. And we want to hold that through. I'm going to say that affirmation one more time and feel as though you're weaving your fingers through the nation and incinerating all of any failure, fear, consciousness, and bringing this joy. And at least some hearts will be reinvigorated. Thou art my Father, success and joy. I am thy child, success and joy. All the wealth of the earth, all the riches of the universe belong to thee, belong to thee. I am thy child. The wealth of earth and universe belongs to me, belongs to me. Oh, belongs to me, belongs to me. I lived in thoughts of poverty and wrongly fancied I was poor. So I was poor, but now I am home, and thy consciousness has made me wealthy, made me rich. I am successful, I am rich. I have everything, I have everything. I possess all and everything, even as thou dost, even as thou dost. Thou art my wealth. I have everything. And send that consciousness through the land. Om Guru, Om Guru, Om Guru, Om Guru, Om Guru. Thou art my wealth. I have everything. And let's send Om. I can feel it through the fingers to the whole nation. Om. And holding this, we'll listen to David send to the nations around the earth. But hold that dual consciousness to whatever degree each nation is facing either financial or health challenges. As we close this, let's also hold out a prayer for souls to be truly awakened to a God consciousness. If we indeed have an awakening, may it be rooted in the eternal, the Sanatana Dharma. We ask for whatever way Sanatana Dharma can be awakened in all these cultures. We ask for those 1 in 1,000 now, Divine Mother. We are asking for the sale. Make it so. Let it be so. We're asking for that 1 in 1,000 or more to awaken with a reinvigorated, deeper spirituality at this time. Divine Mother, bless and heal this earth, body, mind, and soul. We are thine. Bless this earth, body, mind, and soul. Lead all souls to thee. to thy eternal light, to thy eternal ray. And may all souls begin to love and share and care, as David was saying. Because as Master says to that one man, God doesn't like it when his rich children are, whatever he said, mean to his poor children, etc. Let's awaken that deep sense of Dharma, karma, understanding, the soul awakening around the world. We ask this Divine Mother now, awaken souls now in the light. Let's send Om. 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 Peace. Amen. And hold on. One thing that's been inspiring to me, I think I'll just go into a little bit of a satsang. And I've been doing this on and off on different topics since about 2016. I was rereading something I'd read a long time ago. It was one of the first popular books about a man's near-death experience. And it kind of pertains to what we're talking about here. And the man, in his near-death experience, which was profound, he saw Divine Mother. And she had the earth in front of him. And he could see all these cataclysms that were going to happen on the earth. And I think some of them have happened, because I think his experience was in the 90s. And I have the book at home, but I'd have to go and find it to tell you what one it is. And you can imagine, what if he saw something like 9/11? Or what if he saw the tsunami of 2000 on the box the day after Christmas? I think that was 2004 or 5, I think it was 4. Those kind of things would strike almost terror in your heart to see them unfold. And Divine Mother was showing, but she said, but you can pray and you can send blessings. And it's the same way the Blessed Mother at Medjugorje said. And what's interesting to me is that I didn't know what to make of this. Are we in it? I think she stopped appearing to the woman that she saw every once a month. She told her this was the last time she would appear to her. And I had to think, it caught my attention, because I hadn't been open the emails from them, and it was like about a month ago, and I went, whoa, that's unusual. And I thought it was a signal of sorts. I wasn't sure. But it was partly because the crowds couldn't come anymore, because Medjugorje was set down, and it wasn't just supposed to be a personal favor to this woman. So we could go, is it simply that? Or is it that the Pope was taking up the torch and he was leading a lot of prayers? And so had a shift happened even that way, that we were in it. Well, back to the story of Divine Mother showing this man, she said how you can pray for the world, and she said you can invoke legions of angels. And I went, oh, I like that. Legions of angels to just go bless in a certain way. And I probably was inspired by it when I first read it, but I reread it with a special concern in 2016 for a certain worldwide issue I was praying about, a special national issue. It seemed like it was sometimes would come true, but combining that with what Frank Laubach said is that they found you had to keep it up every day. So if there's some aspect where you're wanting to ask legions of angels and the Master's blessings, just keep it up every day. You're renewing it. But what the Divine Mother said to this man, he said, when you pray for another person, it's almost the same as if you're praying for the whole world. I believe the Jewish faith or the Muslim faith, that's funny, I'm getting those mixed up, but has a similar quote. Like if you pray for it might be the Buddhist, I don't know. But if you pray for one, you've kind of prayed for the whole world. Because the paradigm shift is when we stop thinking about ourselves. And I want to send blessings. So the Divine Mother goes, kind of the same thing. You pray for somebody else or you pray for the whole world. We think it's such a huge difference. Like, oh my gosh, we pray for the whole world. But if you pray deeply for another person, you're just no longer so focused on the epicenter of yourself. So that's the paradigm shift. And I think that's why she would say, when you pray for a person, because he's showing how to mitigate these world things, is you can pray for a person, but you can also pray for the whole world. And I think David and I both touched on that there's these souls. We'd go through these remote countries that we don't usually think about. And then you had to kind of remind yourself, all the souls that are there. So if you do even an abbreviated version, when we go deep in it on these satsangs, it's good. But you can also do a very abbreviated version where you're thinking of all the souls, bless them now, and bless any hearts and minds and souls crying out at this time. Just let it go that through this wave of light, because we are actually one, we hear about that, and that God broke into the many, and it's been this myriad experience of karma and eons. You should love your neighbor because you've already been the brother, the sister, the mother. As you get the idea, it's been a massive experience through the ages. And so when you realize, and it came from the oneness, and what does Swami say? So God could enjoy the many, enjoy himself in the many, in that myriad complex Leela of creation and stars and planets. And also it's infinitely small, like our journeys of understanding through lifetimes, and as well everyone else's journey through lifetimes. And yet we all come from that oneness of God. It's hard to sometimes maybe remember. I mean, the planet seems so big, but our hearts can go in that direction and just sending blessings to all. And that's the purpose of our ohms at the end of meditation. Oh, oh. If you even keep that conscious, that's why we send it. It helps heal the planet with some of that oneness. And on the other hand, we want that awakening. Why I added in that prayer at the end, ask for the sale. Divine Mother, awaken the 1 in 1,000. We need them. Some of them are awakened, but we want that reinvigoration because it's Dwapara Yuga. So that means it's not Satya, right? So we need as many souls awakened as is possible right now. And I even think how Swami traveled around the country doing the joy tours, but it awakened souls. Or people thought, oh, maybe I'm not ready to go all the way to Ananda village. I don't know if I would have done that, but I went to Chicago to see him. But it changed their lives. In the same way, we're just asking Divine Mother right now, change lives. If there's something, those karmic seeds over infinity in people's consciousness, if those seeds are in there, we want that awakening, because we need that truth seekers to whatever degree. And then they lead the others who aren't even sure quite what to do. But you need some who are awakened as deeply as possible. So if that resonates, do that. You can ask for souls to be awakened in general, and then also for our own, to whatever degree, for them to be awakened, because that's who we can serve the most directly. You can start with a universal prayer that souls be awakened, but then ask, like even for your New York group, are there souls searching like right now? And ask for the sale, ask for the Divine Mother to awaken them. And then we just see where we go with it if they start to come. But what was that magnet that Swami was doing by doing the joy tours? And I don't know how you would implement that in New York City right now, except through prayer. That's my main suggestion, is like just asking Divine Mother, you know where they are. And I remember Bhima and I watched this talk with Swami. It's kind of interesting. You can find it on YouTube. And it was Swami talking at Song of the Morning Ranch. And what was interesting is then he had the question and answers with Swami. This one woman, so there she is in Upper Michigan in this little farmhouse talking to Swami. She says, I had the strangest experience living in New York City briefly, because I could meditate so well in this apartment. It was just a regular apartment in New York City. And she was already a devotee, but she was sort of thinking it was remarkable because you think, well, I need to be in the country. And she was having the best meditations ever. And then one morning she could hear through the walls, like, I am praying with you, pray with me. It was Master's voice. And first she thought it was like an experience, but then she realized she was hearing somebody's recording above her was playing the recording of Master, and she realized, oh, that person's meditations have been really helping me. I just, for some reason, that struck me so much that she didn't even know the neighbor. It was somebody above her or this, something like that. But just the vibration of the devotee meditating was making her, as a devotee already, have these remarkably deep and wonderful meditations where she didn't want to leave the city, but then she had to leave because that's the course of her life. It took her away from there. I'm just trying to say you have power and blessings where you are. And that was kind of, in a sense, sort of random, except it was her good karma. But the same way when you're meditating, then go ahead and send and ask for the sale. Are there some devotees, Divine Mother, who are ready to be awakened? Let them find us. Let them find the website. I'm just promoting the aspect of prayer itself and see what wonders it can create. It might awaken one or two or three at a time. I don't know. So you're in a remarkable position because the stasis has been broken right now. It's an interesting time to pray if there are souls ready to be awakened. Can they find you, or can they find some of Swami's books, Master's books, music? Even think back to your own journey. How were you awakened? And then you can also universalize it. Like, may they be awakened to any true path. And that's like just a general prayer. But as far as our service, how can we serve? If souls come up who are awakened to this and that's their calling, then you can serve them. So the prayer is dual that way. So I hope that's of some inspiration in that. And there's so many stories of having lived with Swami in the community. I remember sometimes Swami would be gone and then he'd come back, and Bhima one time even asked the neighbors. So this kind of goes along with what we're saying. Even Swami had a very expansive aura, and Bhima asked the neighbors who weren't devotees, but who were just respectful of what we're doing. And he might correct me once I get this going, but he asked, could they feel it when Swami was here or when he was away? I don't mean away for the day, but like in Italy or something. Could they feel when he came back? And he said, yeah, he could feel like there was roughly a half-mile radius to Swami's vibration. And then another man I knew, he had married a member, and he was a member, but then he kind of went a little more American Indian, and his interests got a little eclectic that way for a while. So he wasn't, what we would call in tune, but he was still married and had kids. But he was so respectful of this vibration. He'd go, oh yes, I feel it when Swami comes back. He was by then living off the land. I think they had built a house off. So in other words, my point is, even people who weren't devotees, oh, Swami's coming back, Swami's coming back, they would feel this aura. And there were many examples of that. And one time, there's two. One time when Swami went into a big psychic fair, but it was in a huge convention center. And some of the Ananda members had gone in and were talking to the first psychic booth, and they didn't look like they were part of Swami's group that was coming in later. And it was just by chance this happened. But this one psychic lady said, when she saw Swami enter, and this was like the early 80s, I think it was up in Canada, and Swami walked in, and the psychic lady goes, who is that man? His aura fills this entire hall. Because she was used to seeing auras, but she wasn't used to seeing that. A similar one happened when he went to get Kirlian photography done. And because he was on a trip in Australia, and so he says, oh, you should come try this. Well, there was this beautiful blue with a little bit of violet, lavender, like up here. And the person says, I've never seen an aura like this. I've been taking a lot of photographs. And this was during the lawsuit when life was kind of intense for Swami in a lot of ways, but it was still this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful aura. So there were different ways of backing this up, some of the things I'm saying. But then I do remember one time Swami had been away, and then he came back, and you sometimes would feel it. One time I could just feel it as though he had gone through the community I could feel as though he was there in the room with his little beret on, but just kind of waving a hand up the spine. And as though I think he was going to each home in his meditation, just waving a hand up the spine. And you just felt more uplifted. It felt like the spiritual path was easier. It's never easy, but it felt like, oh, if I apply myself, oh, these things happen. But when we tune into Swami and still ask for a blessing, well, not ask for a blessing, but like the other night, I was with my grandkids and trying to put them to bed, and we were saying Om for everyone we knew. But one of them, I said, it was just a few days ago, before the anniversary of Swami's passing. I just said, well, and one of the Oms was for Swami. Well, it was so different. It's just by Oming, let's bless Swami in the astral world. There was just this automatic return blessing. And that's what people would feel when he was alive. We try to pray for him and we'd feel automatically blessed. So some of these things can happen a lot. And then sometimes Colleen has asked about the Psalm 23 and the chakras, and I've led it sometimes. Well, that was also because Swami had just returned to the community. And I had been saying the psalm a lot, and I knew there was something there. And I thought, I want to ask Swami about it. But I thought, first I've got to go deep in it myself. And I had already been going deep, but I thought, before I ask him, because now that he's back. And so I did the psalm deeply before bed, and I still thought, I'm missing something. And then in the middle of the night, I woke up around, 2 or 3 a.m., and it felt like a window shade had gone up. And all of a sudden I understood that the Psalm 23 was the chakras, and that's why it went from thou, he, and then to the personal thou. And it all came in a flash, in a flood. And I realized Swami had answered my prayer before I got a chance to ask him. That's how it would be sometimes with him. He would feel your intention, and then the prayer would be answered. And there was one other time, but I had a vision of him. It was near the end of the lawsuit. So we used to have I could tell you some stories about how we used to pray about the lawsuit, but not tonight. But we would be like this, and we'd send a transcript to Swami every night, because some people would say, I don't know if devotees should pray that intense, and I thought, so we'd say, we prayed this, and he goes, Swami says, I haven't seen anything too strong yet. If it was me, I'd be even stronger. And so we were like, okay, let's keep going. And another man would say, a leader of the community who knew we had this little group, he'd say, do everything you can. They're eating us alive. Just keep going, and it was amazing. It's a whole amazing story but then it was winding down. It had been 12 years. We would hear the Mahabharata story. So, when our kids knew the Mahabharata, we would have a play about it, and we all knew it because there were some things. The Mahabharata, though, they have this test that goes on for 12 years, and then another year for good measure. And we used to think, oh my gosh, can you imagine a test that goes on for 12 years? And then the lawsuit happened, and like right about when you're in 6 years into the test, you go, ruh-roh. I can see where this is going. And we went through 12 years. It was like our own Mahabharata. And then there was one more year, the add-on year. And it was somewhere in there, like we had been putting on all this strength, but it was kind of resolved. And now it was just this tag-on thing. At that point, I could see Swami. There was a blessed in his life as King Henry. And it was like this. He was strong. And you could just see that strength. And in this life, I would only see it that way once in a while, like his job. But you could see how like Sir Winston Churchill would said in his book, those were the best 30 years England ever had, was when Henry was king. And you could feel how Swami, as Henry, that soul, held together England together by his will. Just anyways, for some reason I had that vision, and I thought, oh my gosh, I need to be that tough. God must want me to be that tough again, like we were in our prayer group. And so I was trying to conjure up my inner soldier, somehow. And so I wrote to Swami about it. And Lakshman was his secretary. And Swami, he read it to him, and Swami says, oh, don't worry, I'll answer her. And so it was morning, and somehow I fell back asleep on the bed at 8:30 in the morning. How often does that happen, right? And then I had this dream of Swami being frail, like almost so this was before he was really this frail, but he was getting there where, he was always on someone's arm. And he's frail. And I was supposed to take care of him. So I'm like carrying him. I'm being very motherly, And I woke up and that was his answer. That was how he answered, was in that dream. Like, don't be that tough soldier lady you were thinking. I think I just was supposed to witness that strength. I wasn't supposed to embody it. And so there would be these things that would happen that would help us, refresh us, keep us going, and one way or the other. There were just these ways that you felt like Swami knew you and was rooting for you, but you wouldn't necessarily you wouldn't have that many conversations with him. I would sometimes, but it wasn't a lot. It would sometimes just be this inner support. Well, he's still there for all the devotees as his master, and to call on that blessing and guidance. But it's been a blessing too. I mean, we all have our journeys, but it was a remarkable journey, like to come here, and there was barely electricity, just in a few houses, and you have this bright idea, you're young. I was 23 when I got here, and like, oh, that sounds like a great idea. Let's live in the woods with no power and only a few jobs. And the guys went off to the rice harvest, and it was all on the inspiration. And then as time goes on, you have to get a little real. You had to have businesses and roads and pavement and all this structure, and you need that too, and you had to manifest all that. Well, then you have to start remembering the simplicity, after you got comfortable with all the material comfort. But I don't know, life's a journey, and it's been a beautiful journey, being in this grand experiment this way. And then, I think some of our hearts and minds are like, how does any of that translate? How do we send out the blessings and support to whatever way people are receptive? And it was remarkable to me. I don't know how to translate this, though I think, David, you were touching on some of it in your prayer. When Swami went off on the joy tours, it was an answer to the fire at Ananda. He just thought, oh, the place burned down, let's just go find more souls, and so in the same way, responding, can we respond in a new way? How much inspiration do people need, or can fresh inspiration? And that's why I started to call for, like I say, bring in the sail. Let's awaken those souls who are on the cusp, and they can awaken the same way devotees awaken, because you need that purpose, I think. But it is a remarkable time, and Swami would talk about things like how St. Francis changed Europe. Like, we always hear about St. Francis. He had a few rags, and, he had his begging bowl, but there were thousands of people following his inspiration at some point, where he would, and they changed Europe. And he said it was the monks. This is what Swami said, was the monks and the nuns, but it was also the lay order of the people who were the householders, and who took it to heart, and they transformed Europe as well. It was all of it. And Swami would say it was a few people. The Renaissance was basically a few people in in Italy starting, and then waves went out. And he would give us that inspiration, like hold true to your values and then spread it. And then we're not in control, but we can share it. And he never stopped sharing it. But I do think some of the readings he had in India at the end, you remember those names? The Brigu, but then another one, they said that some of it would spread even more after he died. And we can see that happening in India and things like that. But this world is a mystery, and our individual journeys with God are important, and then the societal journey with God. And both were very important to Swami. That's why, and to Master, that's why they wrote so many books that were to uplift society in general, sort of like Jesus would say, to those who have ears to hear, let them hear. But then also that individual journey. Whereas, like if there's a yogi, like Master in his future life is supposed to be in the Himalayas, right? With maybe 12 disciples, because at that point, the paradigm is different. It's like these guys, their karma is to be liberated with the yogi on the mountaintop in this lifetime. But there's also this societal push that doesn't go away. Master came, like in the Jewel and the Lotus, it shows that Yogananda's energy was still going through society, even 200 years later. The same way. Look at Jesus, look at Buddha, look at Krishna. So there's the individual journey, and then there's societal journey. This affirmation, I wrote a thing about it because my late husband Tim and I memorized this. Like I say, when when you have 3 kids, simplicity started to feel like poverty, and we thought, well, we've got to do this. And it has a lot of power, and so we made a point to memorize it because then it's in your brain. So if anybody is having concerns, go ahead and use it. Master wrote it for times like this, when your individual consciousness is having to break through beyond what's going on all around you. So it's a joy to see all of you all, and I'm glad you're doing well. Thank you all, and God bless you all.